the BLERD official podcast. I am so excited that you are here, that we are here, and we are excited to see you and talk to you. Oh my gosh, how are you guys doing?
Been forever.
Yes,
Where y'all been?
I know. It feels like forever. We literally have been all so busy and just running around the country. Yeah, all over the world. But we want to talk about Comic-Cons today. But before we do that, I have to introduce my host with the most. Both of them are amazing. Hilton George, how are you doing?
I've been around the world. I've been to MyCon. I just came from Toronto, my first Canada visit. And it's not cold and freezing up there, by the way, not tundra and stuff. So it's wonderful. No. Had some poutine and had a great time. It was delicious, and I can't wait to go back. So I've been running, but I'm feeling energized. I'm so glad to see you guys again. Welcome, welcome, everybody.
Yes. We'll welcome back to the States. You obviously are COVID free because you gotta you gotta test in and out of this country. It's crazy, but it's so exciting. I'm glad you're out and about. We're gonna talk about your show. You had an amazing weekend week before last, and we can't wait to hear all about it. And Christi Renee is here in the house. Miss Christi. Yes, how are you?
I'm great. Just glad to be back with y'all, and and back at it, running our mouths, doing what we do.
I know, giving unsolicited opinions about everything.
Ain't nobody ask us, but that's all right.
Nobody asked me nothing. No.
Yeah,
but I'm happy to share because I'm a sharer. So no, I'm just happy to be here. It's hot as hell down here in Dallas, Texas.
It's hot here. It is hot in LA. Like when it's hot in LA, you know the rest of the world is on fire.
Birds falling from the sky, fully cooked.
Gosh.
I'm like, Lord.
I'm trying to stay cool. I've got a little glisten, anyway. The heat ain't in here.
We'll charge that to cocoa butter. That's cocoa butter. That's what that is.
Yes.
That's what that is.
Yes.
That good shay, honey. That's
her curls are good, so it can't be too hot because the curls will like frizz out. it'll afro out in 2.2 seconds. I can't. Right? I forbid myself. Like, I will not go to Texas. I will not go to like certain states, Florida, in July and August. Like, I have made that mistake in my life and lived to regret it. Like, I felt like I was going to die. So I am banned from those states until at least September.
This is the worst. This is the worst. We've had like 20 plus 3-digit days, and when you hear a heat index of 112 or 113,
you're in Vegas.
Yeah, inside a car is 161 degrees. Like it's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. And I feel sorry even for people overseas. Like in the UK, they don't even have they don't do air conditioning like we do.
They don't need it because it's so cold there, and they're like burning up.
Their summer
got a timeshare where y'all at. I don't understand what's going on.
Their summer temperatures, y'all, are typically in the low 70s. They are over 100 now. So it's just a nightmare. That whole global warming conversation.
I know. That's a whole can of worms because people will try to fight you if you say global warming. I'm like, what is happening? Do you not feel the heat? Like, I don't think we've ever felt this hot in our whole life. Like, my air conditioner does not turn off. Like, we go somewhere, I'm like, don't you turn that air off because we will come back to the swamp. And I'm like, I'll pay whatever it is. My husband's like trying to
work too hard, child.
I don't want to be uncomfortable in my life.
To come in and stroke out. Yes, we are not trying to stroke out today.
Grandmothers all over the country not getting their homes visited because we know they ain't got the AC on.
Right.
Because they do not want their light bill to be sky high.
My mom tried to do that. And I'm like, girl, you are too young to be trying to act like this. No, I was like turning the air. She got mad at me and I was like, here's some money. Now be quiet.
We are deposit when you walk in the door.
Yes, like I'm like, what is this? What happens? Like, is there a switch inside old people where they start just being irrational and like they want to turn the heat? Like, we're just not gonna have any coolness. Like, come on, like, will you die like that? Like, it's too hot. Even 10 fans ain't gonna fix this. 10 fans take more energy than the air conditioner. Just put the air conditioner on.
Listen.
That's true.
The AC on. We'll have to fight later.
Yeah,
I'll never do that. I don't think I'll
mom,
ever that way.
she getting old, she getting crazy. She knows it too. I told her.
Don't you be talking about your mama like that.
I know. She's the best, but she tripped on that one. Well, besides the heat, things have been heating up at Comic-Cons, and we have been having, I don't know if you guys know this, but Hilton and myself, we both own our own shows. And it's like we were joking, like we literally joke back and forth, because when you run your own show, it's a whole nother animal. It's everything is on you. All the planning, all the complaints, all the happiness, all the joy, all the, people just like anything that happens, they like, you gonna fix it, because no one else.
When people are asking for the manager, you the manager.
You are the manager.
I need to speak with the manager.
And when we go to these other shows, like we're very frequent guests at other Comic-Cons, we're not the manager. So it is a different set of experiences when you do your own show. And my show is RangerStop and Pop in Atlanta. I co-own it with Nakia Barice and Michael Bioni. And Hilton is a co-owner of BlerDCon, which is in DC. It's an amazing show. I was looking at all the posts, all the footage. I mean, Hilton, I'm going to shut up because I want you to tell us about your show, because it was awesome to see on social media. So I can only imagine how awesome it was to be there.
So let's talk about the changing landscape of the attendee. There are more attendees who are active on social media than there were 3-4 years ago. So there are more folks checking in. Yeah, they're going live, and they're doing videos and little music skits and TikToks and stuff everywhere. So your digital footprint for your con is now larger than it's ever been. And just like Karan was saying, one of the ways to kind of rate or get a sense of how your con is doing is to see the digital footprint.
Yeah.
And of course, when you have a lot of people who are super creative and super energetic, who have a signature convention, the Black Nerd Convention, BLERDCon, as one of their annual trips, everybody's bringing their best cosplay, and everybody is, charging their phones and getting in the good Wi-Fi and the good light and taking pictures and stuff. And I have to admit, from a con running perspective, and I think, Karan, you'll appreciate this. There were very few kinks and managerial trouble to run through after we kind of turned the car on and just kind of
it kind of runs itself once you
once we have a day zero for a reason. That Thursday is not just there to get people in to get their badges. It's also a chance for us to kind of plug in the lights and see what's not working, catch everything going. And so once we run it, everything just kind of slowly and surely started to hum along. We had some amazing content, amazing panels and workshops. We're a very content heavy convention. We do between 100 and 130 panels and workshops every God help me.
Yet. I don't even know how y'all do that. Like,
the community's got something to say.
Yeah, you get up at 3 a.m. and go catch a panel. I'm like, who is up? And I one night was gonna go. I'm gonna get up and just like go and see if people are actually in there. But I knew they were. I obviously slept through that and didn't do it. But
I know.
We had Orlando Jones was our celebrity guest this year, and I got to tell you, he was an absolute star and a dream. This guy was
like it.
second only to our own Karan Ashley. He was just so.
He was way more active than me, though. He was at the parties. He was everywhere.
Try to keep a handle on Orlando Jones at your show if you want to.
Right,
but he is moving. He is moving. He's not sitting around. He is ready to roll.
Let me ask you, as a non-owner yet,
right.
But as a non-owner in that space, though, Hilton, does that really? How does that feel for you when one of your big fully integrate into your brand and what you're doing? I mean,
that's gold. That's gold. Yeah. It's I had never worked with him directly before, but I knew a lot of people who had. I had worked with his management before, and I was very familiar with them. And I had no expectations that he was going to be anything other than amazing, and he filled all of that bill. But when you have somebody who understands the audience, and has a connection to that. I think his career and his personality and life experience all kind of dovetail beautifully with both the convention, the attendees, and the theme being homecoming. You know, he also played, as you might remember, Dr. Lee in Drumline. So we actually had a marching band come in.
Saw it.
Yeah, it was crazy. So this is an amalgam band. So over the summer, everybody goes home, and this is one of those bands that's called Capital City All Stars, and these are band members from all of these different colleges, universities, and even some high schools that come in and they practice and they do shows and they do performances through the summer. And this was their first performance, and so we brought them in, and they came and marched in, and people were losing their minds. And you know, they kind of started that little, they did the little session inside the opening ceremonies, and we brought out our man Orlando Jones, and you know, he kind of did his thing, and then he ended up going into the audience next to the conductor, and then ended up conducting he's doing the whole thing, and he just fell right into character. The band had a selection set up for him, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing, and so that set the tone.
Yeah,
and you know,
then you can't help but have fun after that.
You can't, you know, like, when you send people out on a high,
I mean, come on,
they went
starting
out
them on a high. Yeah,
he was worth whatever he was worth to get there.
every nickel,
every nickel,
and it showed up in two places. So one you just heard. The second was that we did a NFT project called BLERD Pass this year, and it's a little different thing to take on as a con, you know, but it is something that we as a people don't know all that much about. So it's an educational campaign, and you know, really trying to get people aware of what's going on. And we had a free NFT that was kind of like, you know, when you turn 15 and your parents took you to the bank with little $15 and you opened up a checking account so you could learn how to manage money. We kind of had that thing running, and he is an NFT fanatic, and he went in on a couple of the sessions and just blew people away, and he just really helped with that educational process and got that buy-in that was really great.
So cool.
I love that.
And the weather, the last thing I'll say about it that really stood out to me is that the weather was threatening to rain the entire week, and it only rained like once for like an hour in the morning on Saturday. So it left some puddles, but then it didn't really do a whole lot.
It didn't mess up my food court.
It did not mess up.
My favorite food court.
Listen. I was like, we were talking about, we got to bring in all the acts, and we got to figure out how to relocate everything, and and it just rained that one morning, and then it stayed relatively dry the rest of the weekend.
God is good, man. That's awesome.
I was
I'm an earth sign, so I'm gonna take credit. I did that.
You did that.
You did that. We'll give you. We'll send you your thank you flowers. We'll send you some a nice edible arrangement, something cool to help you out there in Texas.
Thank you
for sure. Oh my gosh. Well, see, that is beautiful. I love hearing, because you're right. It's all about it's all about the planning. That's what I found. It's all about the planning and the setup. And if you are able to set up, you know, our show this year, we were very lucky. Like, we are at the Sheraton in Atlanta, and they are so amazing to us. They let us set up, like, our show wasn't until Friday, and we normally set up on Thursday, but we all get there early. We get there like Monday, and it's like we're running around doing everything we need to do. They let us set up on Tuesday morning.
What?
Yes, they were like, no,
Hyatt Crystal City. You see what the Sheraton in Atlanta's doing?
Exactly.
Call your boy.
Tuesday, we were in there Tuesday. The entire room was set up, and it was so funny because one of our guests, Steve Cardenas, he was on Power Rangers with me. He came in early because he lives in London, and so he kind of flies in every, you know, like once a month, and he'll stay for 2 weeks. So he was already in America, and he drove down early and was just like, okay, I'll be here. And so he came down thinking he was going to hang out with us. He was like, what are y'all doing? What's going on? And like, yeah, exactly. Our team was like putting up the pipe and drape, and they were doing all that. And he was like, this is what y'all doing? And we're like, dude, the show doesn't just like magically appear. I have to shout him out because he said, oh, okay, I'll help. He literally piped and draped the whole thing. Yes, one of our celebrity guests, but he's family. Awesome. And that's one of the things we do. Our show is very set up as family. And I wish I had one guest, to be responsible. We had 30 freaking guests at our show this year. I know. Dream. 30 guests, and our theme this year was obviously Power Rangers, and we were highlighting the in space crew, that kind of the whole like Power Rangers in space team. And then we had Ninja Turtles. We also had anime guests. We had we had Monica Rial, who is from Dragon Ball Z. She's from My Hero Academia. We had so many guests, so it was literally our biggest year. But that setting up on Tuesday, we all went to bed early every single night, which never happens. Like, we didn't have these overnighters. We didn't have, and the stress was just so amazing to be set up, to have everything going. And then, Friday, it's like you turn the lights on and the show just runs itself at that point.
Oh man.
It was crazy. But yeah, we had 30 guests. So that was a little challenging, but I have to shout out my crew, because our team, like, we've literally been working with them for years. They just are on it. They know how to greet the guests, take care of the guests. They know how to, if somebody missed their flight, they know how to deal with it. Luckily nobody did, but I mean, it's a well-oiled machine at this point. But it's like, one thing I do love, because I used to go to a bunch of cons, is when I would arrive at a show, one of the shows that I go to every year, Lexington Comic-Con, Lexington Toy and Comic-Con, I should say the correct thing. They are at least one person who either one of the owners is always there to greet us. And I always thought that was nice. And usually you don't have the time to do that. And so that's one thing with having 3 different owners, like me and Ken, who's my, right hand, we were there to greet all the guests. And the way they greet the guests, what I've learned is that you get them from the beginning. We were there to greet them with nothing but cakes. And so they were happy the whole show.
Yeah.
We need to mute that. We need to mute that out so that none of my future guests start expecting cakes.
You got one guest. You can get one nothing but cake. One cake.
We get some cookies, a bag of chips. I don't know what we're standing at the airport with a cake.
40 cakes, like, because it's like the people will show up with themselves, with them cakes? And their because they have
full size cakes.
And no, it's the little ones, the individual ones. Yeah, not the big ones.
I thought you had like full. Okay, no. I would see. Clarification is key. Thank you.
Yes, individual bunt cakes, gotcha. And but it was like that. I don't know if people never get a gift when they arrive, but they had their goodie bag. They had, their bunt cake. And they were like, I don't know what it is. Everyone was in a good mood for the whole. I didn't have Orlando Jones, but I had bunt cakes.
That's a lot. It's being received. I mean, of course, I need a combination of both. I want the marching band and I want the bunt cake. So
I want the marching band too.
You also want to be carried on the shoulders of your subjects too. That's
absolutely.
And come through the thing like this, right. How she did at MomoCon.
Yeah. Every time. So I think both of those. I mean, those are incredible. Let me ask you both this then, to play devil's advocate. So I love hearing what you love the most and how, and if you haven't said what your favorite thing is, then give me that. But then, of course, I like the dark side. I'm dystopian queen. So I'm just, what is the absolute worst thing without ruining relationships? But what's like the worst thing in doing?
I gotta go first.
Yeah, you go first.
And here's
I got something too, but I'm gonna let you have
both of mine were in the same year at the same event and involved Karan. Yes.
What I do?
Okay. So again, it's a learning process, right? Nobody's born a con runner, and you kind of have to learn as you go. And I was year 2 of BlerDCon, so 2018, and it was Karen's first year guesting.
I don't even know what it is. BlerDCon. Oh my God.
And I had this idea in my head that we could set up in the same way you would do at a larger Comic-Con convention, where there'd be this separate room. You remember this, where all the guests were set up, and in the back of the room you had the photo op screen, and it was like a station. Like, you go in that room and that's where all the guests are. And I was like, oh, this is so perfect, because it's like, here it's so well lit. you know, so no one's gonna have any issues with lighting and people getting away and
here
all this
I
stuff.
come. I already know this, and
so
here I come.
I'm loading in. I got 4 of the Dora Milaje as guests. I've got my guy set up in the back with a huge green screen and a little printer, you know, back when people cared about, you know, physical copies, and, you know, we had everything laid out. And Karen comes in and she kind of sets up. She's not like really set up, but she gets like, "Let me ask you a question real quick. Let me talk to you." And I said, "Okay." And when she starts off, and she's so sweet, she's like, "So you can do what you want. This is definitely your show. I'm not telling you how to run your show, but but it has been my experience that if I'm out where the people are, I will get more traffic from the people who are kind of moseying through, who maybe didn't really realize I was here or didn't buy a photo op in advance and all that sort of stuff. So I know that I've got a minimum, and we both have an interest in me making it. And I know you want to make money, you know, you want me to make money, and we want to win. So just take that with a grain of salt, and you do what you want to do with it. So I had to sit down and kind of like, oh man, I had to put this whole thing together. It's like the whole configuration of this 17,000 square foot room I've done. She just took some Lowry's and just did all of that. Like, and I said, you know what? Let me get out of my way. I said, this lady has been doing this for years. She knows how to make her money with her audience. And I'm sitting up here on year 2. I am not going to sit here and tell her, you know, well, I'll tell you how I did. And I said, and I just kind of looked up, and then I called a crew, and I was like, move everybody outside. So we emptied everybody out into the main lobby. And, you know, this is why the positive end of the story is that, you know, obviously Karen made bank. So at the end of the day, we're getting our deposit back, but we didn't know we were getting our deposit back.
I'm paying
right.
them.
She's counting her money. It's like that scene in Bugs Bunny where she's like, 1 for me, 2 for you.
Yeah.
1, 2 for you, 1, 2 for me. And we're like, oh, we get a stack too? Like, oh,
exactly.
So it was a win-win. It was just a lesson in, you know, tapping your resources and, you know, letting people learn. Yeah. On the flip side of that, during that same year, and I will be as vague and as opaque as I can humanly be, we did have a guest, and Karen's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. We did have a guest who was just impossible to please. And there was nothing that we could do for this individual. It didn't matter where we set them up. It didn't matter how high we put the sign. It didn't matter how big the table was, or, you know, from the minute this person got off of the plane, everything was not enough, not fast enough, not, you know, tea ain't hot enough, the sun ain't bright enough, the carpet ain't fuzzy enough. I mean, everything was wrong. And I had at one point, my staff had come to me, and they're just like, we just don't know what to do. She's running us crazy, you know, and the hotel manager was coming to me. I was watching
it like, but this is the thing. You would have thought this person was like Halle Berry. Don't give too much away.
It could have been Harry. It could have been Halle Berry.
Halle Berry wasn't there. Halle Berry wasn't there.
It was one of those things where we were like, okay, you know. So I had to go up to my roost, and every con runner has a roost, and you go to your room, and it's not even a room; it's a roost. It's just paper everywhere, and, you know, stuff. And I had to type out an email and send it to both this person and their management.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, I just said, this is not, I can't do another day. If it's this bad on a Friday, which is only a half day, we open at noon and close at 8. I was like, I can't imagine what's going to happen when there's twice as many people and twice as long an hour to do everything. And I said, you know, I basically put on as much of my professional typing voice as I could. And I said, you know, we strive to, you know, meet all of the needs and all of the, you know, needs of our guests and everything. But there comes a time where, you know, sometimes we are not able to make the experience for you what you feel you deserve, and it's just not working. We will pay you your fee. We will continue to pay for your room. You can go explore DC, hang out with friends, do whatever you want, but just don't come back downstairs.
Right. We're not playing this game anymore in the nicest possible way.
Right. And that was like, you know, my staff like applauded me because like I blind copied some of the department heads on it, and they were just like, "Oh, we're so proud of you," because we just didn't know what to do. We thought you're gonna get kicked in the sternum or something.
Well, you know what? It's so good though. Crazy. You handled that very smoothly, because I knew like things were kind of crazy. Like I saw the person like, and you know instantly, like when you see people like talking to the people that work or that volunteer, like these people are volunteering and you're talking to them crazy, or it's just, they're just angry. All I know is that person disappeared. And I was like, ding dong, the witch is gone. Like, let's move on. Like it was just negative energy. And oh man, you handled that very well though. You handled that very well.
You know, it was not lost on me that I was looking at you, because you are the Zen master, and Chris has seen you at the con, and it'd be crazy, and you're kind of like taking everything in stride, just boom.
I try.
When I see you with your eyes going, then I'm like, okay, y'all disturbing the Zen master.
You know what's crazy?
I know.
It's crazy to me because luckily for us, like you said, I've been doing cons for many, many years, and everyone we have invited to the show, they've been exceptional. They've been amazing people. They're happy to be there. But I will tell you this, we're very selective on who we invite, because we know those things happen. And luckily, I think even some of the people that who've had we've had some people that supposedly they're not easy to work with, but then they come to our show and they're great. And I think it's only because we've had, we've been friends and we've been in the green rooms together, and so they're almost like, I can't really be mean to my friend,
and I got to see her again probably next week at another show, so I got to keep myself together.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we get that, we deal with that though prior to them signing on to the show, because even this year we had a few people that, and I love everybody who's coming, but you got to think about when you're doing this show, a lot of people don't know the logistics of having a guest at a show. Like you're paying for their flight, you're paying for their transportation, you're paying for their probably per diem, just because they're away from home, they've got to eat out, so you got to give them some money to do that. You're paying for their hotel, and even if you don't have a guarantee, or you do have a guarantee, there might be a guarantee in place, so you have to account for that. But even if there isn't, that's still a lot of money for flight, hotel. And you guys know, you fly to go see someone this summer, and you know how much that stuff costs. It costs a lot of money. So even if people are coming to you and they're like, I'm doing you a solid, I want to help you build your show, you're still out of pocket by a lot of money. And so we get, most of the people, they're excited to come, they know we're going to take care of them. They even say, like, we'll even set up the green room with food. So they have food, even though we've given the per diem, and it's because we don't want them to there's nothing by the Sheraton. They'd have to leave somewhere to go get food.
True.
So it's like they would be gone for 2 hours. That would throw off photo ops, that would throw off the panel schedule, because they'll just leave and go have margaritas and you know what I'm saying? Because I've done it.
I was hooking my girl up anyway, so I might as well get.
I don't have a guarantee. So, but if we set up the green room, so they never leave during the day. They've got food, they've got water, they've got snacks, they've got everything, right? So we got them there and we got them taken care of. But we still have guests who are very like this person, and they want, they want a first class ticket, or they want homebound like they want somebody to take them to the airport from their house, or they want, a crazy amount of per diem, or they want you to pay for their dog to go to the dog sitter. It's like, you just can't even imagine half the stuff that we
don't go. Just don't.
That rider with the entourage on it, boy, you'd be like, hold up, like, I was booking you, and it looked like you have a vacation with your family at there's 13 people on this rider.
It's crazy. And so it's one of those things where I think like we had a couple of people that we thought, oh wow, it'd be great to work with them, and those negotiations died real quick. And we were like, and we very much are, like, we want you here, but if it's not working, we're good. It's non-negotiable. Like the mood is not so much negotiable.
Exactly. The vibe is so much more important than any name that you might be able to attach to your event. And this is why I even got to the point at one point where I was thinking like, what would we do at a con that didn't have any guests at all? Because there's so many people that folks request who don't do, shows.
Yeah.
And it gets kind of expensive, and it's not the deepest pot of people in the world. if you're thinking of Black nerd specific guests. So, you know, trying to figure out like who's available. I mean, how many times have I gotten a request before he passed, God bless him, Chadwick Boseman, as if it were like a novel idea. Like, I don't know if you guys have thought of this, but you know, Chadwick Boseman's pretty popular. Like, yeah, we thought of it.
We thought of it. And do you know how much it would cost? Like, it's like, he's not going to be like, he's going to be a lot of money. Like, he's done he only did like a few cons. Like, he did San Diego, he did New York. He like, you know.
And those are the mandatory junkets for the projects.
Exactly. That's why he's Black Panther, Marvel made sure he went to that.
Exactly.
And he was still, yeah. I love when they do that though, when they're like, let me suggest some people, and you're like, do you know how much these people cost? And I think that's kind of like the mystery is like, you don't really know what people cost. And it's not a matter of them being like, oh, I'm worth all this money. It's just that they're giving you a weekend and they're probably away from their families, or they're away from work, or they're going to have to check out, and it costs money. Like, you want me to do a personal appearance, you got to pay me, you know. And it's a business. It's very much a business. And I don't think a lot of the fans or the guests realize that there is a business happening. They're just like, we're having fun. Why'd you invite Chadwick?
It's funny because I think you're 100% right on that, Karen, because, you know, if you go to a con and you're not a con runner who can see things through that lens, right? And you start thinking about the mechanics of what's behind the magic, then the magic's not that good, in my opinion, right? Yeah. If I go to a place where I'm supposed to be transported and I feel the engine or the machine of the service happening around me, then the magic is not, the bubble's not as big as it probably should be.
Right.
So I forgive people for not really even going into the math or the calculation around some of the stuff that they might ask for. But at the same time, I don't want to bust everybody's bubble and say, do you know how hard all this is? Like, no, I really, you know, this is your vacation. You got a hard enough life. I don't want you to come in thinking, boy, I look forward to coming to BlerDCon because I know Hilton is sweating bullets every day. Like, if that's in your mind, you know, that's not the right mindset for your time. So I do like the idea that people do feel transported and they do feel swept up in the magic. But if you are going to come into the inbox and take the time to write out a suggestion, that is different. And, you know, I don't like telling people no. You know, you get a bunch of the same suggestions, especially in like open forums or in some of the group chats and stuff. And people keep asking for stuff that's just not feasible. And then you end up being like, okay, so I'm not a parent, but, you know, I tell my brother, like, don't take the route to Home Depot that takes us past 6 McDonald's, because you're going to end up having to tell the boys no 12 times, you know, between the coming and going. And then your popularity is going to plummet by the end of the day. Everyone's mood is ruined because you said no like 15 times because you're driving everybody by these McDonald's. And you know, you end up being that person that has to tell everybody, no, well, we can't really do that because oh, you don't want to do anything like that. You know,
right.
No one's ever asking for simple stuff. Like, everyone wants the big things, you know. But sometimes we can deliver the big things and we're really excited about it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. You ultimately, I think the goal is you want your show to grow and be like some of the big shows that we love to attend, you know? But it takes years, and it takes, like, there's a full-on machine. Christi, you're new to the con scene. I know every time she gets so excited. I love it. What are some of the things that you liked or that you were surprised when you went to some of these shows? Because you've been to a few now that you were just like, I had no idea this is happening here.
Right. Well, okay. So my first, of course, was MomoCon in Atlanta. And so that was, again, you can't put a better word on it than transported. Like that transportation, just being taken from my usual bubble, which can be bizarre. People's mindset of normalcy is whack to me. So I was transported out of that basic life or basic surroundings and gone into a world that just
magical
was
world.
So magical, and it was multifaceted, multi-layered. I appreciated all the vast amounts. I mean, you got a lot of vendors. There's no way in hell anybody could in one day. I mean, you really would have to make a weekend of it and do your best to go down all of those aisles and stop
Right.
what everybody has. So I was a kid in a candy store. I was like, I want to go there and I want to go there. And oh my God, and I want to touch this and I want to see that. And I want, I wanted to do everything. I love what was mind blowing to me was, well, of course, there. And then I saw it again at Fan Expo in Dallas with you, Karen. And it's the whole wrestling ring. And in MomoCon, I also saw the jousting stage. So
yeah,
I was expecting a cosplay competition. Like I'm not, I'm not like totally green in this area.
Right.
I get the gist, but I just seeing the wrestling matches go on.
Because people are so into that. Like I was surprised by that too when I went to a show and there was an actual like live wrestling. And I was like, people still like, because I liked wrestling when I was like,
I grew up on,
for like a year, and then I was over it. But it's like wrestling is serious. And even they even like the amateur stuff where they're like, I went to a show in Oklahoma. I'll never forget this. It was at a comic book store. But it was like this huge comic book store and they do this whole like fest and they're the most amazing people. And they had live wrestling outside, like outside the store. And then they were like, we want you to be in it. And I was like, hold up. Me? Like, I was like, yo, I was on a TV show.
Funny.
I pretended to know karate. I am not a karate expert. They talked me into that shit.
Don't spoil it.
They talked me into it. And so like we had this whole thing and he was like, I'm going to throw him here and I'm going to do this. And like he gave me the signal and he threw the guy and I ran it. He tapped me in. I got in and I kicked him. And like I like sat on him like, ha. And he just like lay there and I was like, ha. And it was like 1, 2, 3, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was hilarious. I don't know. I need to ask them because that was like last year.
We gotta get the video of that. That's got to go online. That's a BOP reel that needs to roll.
Yeah.
Dana, get on it. I know you've got people. Nexus Lexus search. We got to do. We got to find this.
Well, I'm gonna contact them because
Nexus. Oh my God, that is hysterical. But listen, let me say this other thing that was also fascinating. Now, of course, the whole wrestling thing, and when we moved, remember how we moved in MomoCon? And again, I go back to thinking about Hilton talking about. Well, Karen is let me tell y'all something out there in the world. When I tell you what I have experienced in these 2 cons I've been to, I know I'm breaking them in. No, I'm just a newbie. I'm getting started.
Yeah.
Listen, when I tell you, if she know that space ain't right, the vision, the visibility, oh my God, she is going to say, "Hey, can we talk for a second?"
Wait, let me tell you why. Because you know me. Like Christy's known me my whole life. I'm an over analyzer. When I decided I was going to do a con, I started studying shows. Like I started studying how people were setting things up. I mean, it was like, I was just like taking it in. And I'm like one of those people who I will analyze the situation. And I know like just being at cons, I've done them 14, 15 years now. It's all about half of it is they're going to come see you because they just love you. They just want to see you. They got a handful of collectibles and they're like, I've been waiting to meet you, sign all this. You know, half of it is that. Another part of it is just that sentimental factor. Like when they go, oh my God, they may not have even ever thought I'm going to go get an autograph, but they see you and they're like, oh my God, you're on my favorite show. I grew up with you. And then that last quarter, because it's like 3 parts, or that last third is impulse buying. Impulse. And that impulse buying is someone who walks by and goes, I want that. Like, and it's like you, Christy, when you're walking down the aisles and seeing stuff, you just buy shit you never would buy at a con just because it's interesting or it's cool or
because Karan Ashley sitting behind it, looking at you going,
exactly. I'm like, huh, yeah. And you know, and that's the thing. Most actors are really friendly. And so you have to, like I always say, it's the best thing when you set it up where you bring your asset, whatever it is that's going to draw them in, and you put them in a place and like at our show, we set up that way where you have to walk through, and you're walking through the vendors, and then you're walking through the artists, because the artists always get kind of shafted, like they don't get as much attention. You walk through the actors, and then you get to the celebrities. So it's like you have to walk through, and so they're like impulse buying all this stuff, and then you'll find that the artists do better, the vendors do better, everyone does better, because it's like you have to, in order to get to the prize, you have to go through everybody else. And then you're like, oh my gosh, look at that poster. Oh, I can buy that poster, and then there's 8 people here. I can get all 8 people to sign it. Oh my God. And all of a sudden that impulse.
Lotion Man is set up outside of Nordstrom for a reason.
For a reason.
There's a reason for that. You can sell lotion anywhere, but if you're going to pick a spot, you're going to pay the money to be right outside of Nordstrom. Well, and that's a different type of traffic. And understanding that, what I call that troop movement. Like when I know where the entranceway is into a building or a room, and the layout, trying to take into account the natural people flow. Like what's the first thing they're going to see and walk toward? You don't want to try and set up a layout that's going to kind of run counter to where they want to go and where their eye is flowing. Yep. This is why with signage and advertisements, we know that in America, everyone starts at the top left-hand corner and they go to the right and down. And so the stuff that's at the top is the headline stuff. The details tend to be at the bottom. Grocery store. A layout. In caps. It's exactly the same way. Yeah. And knowing where to be in that, knowing yourself, knowing your product, knowing your niche, knowing your audience, know who actually buys, and who are the people that just kind of breeze by, is a key asset of being a successful guest, advocating for yourself. Because sometimes the con runner doesn't know. Duh.
Or you just don't or you think of it's one of those things where it's hard when I've done shows, there are shows like Pensacon and stuff where the actual the space is just not big enough to have all the celebrities that they have there. And you literally it's like they have the vendors on the main floor, and I think the photo ops, and then it's like you go up in the stadium, and in these side rooms are all the celebrities. And I was like, how the hell is this gonna work? Well, it works for them because there's over 100,000 people that show up, so it's like every space is full, and you have no doubt that you're gonna have to go through that. And people have learned that that's how that show is set up. Right. But even like Dragon Con, it's set up in 5 different hotels, and but even that sometimes annoys me, because I'm like, I never go to this, I never see this, because when you're at Dragon Con, you just I don't have the energy for all it.
It's all of Northeast Atlanta.
Enough. Yeah, it's like 4 days is not enough to explore all these things. Or if I have to do a panel, I really have to strategically think about, do I really want to take 30 minutes to get there and 30 minutes to get back? And it's crazy. But I interrupted you, Christi, so I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
You see me where I'm like, can we talk? I mean,
yes.
The thing.
Well, I think and I say that because one, that did happen. We switched at MomoCon, so we were in one spot, and then we went, and I was cracking up because I was like, oh my Lord, the smashing down of the wrestling ring was hilarious. I got used to it, of course. Yeah. And then we had the battling DJs. It was hysterical.
Hilton was there.
I don't know which we should dance to, but I'm a
2 DJs next to each other battling.
Sometimes
that was funny.
There's too much synergy sometimes between like-minded individuals. They set us up next to each other, and because they figured, well, they would both kind of know each other, and we did. And but we never really sat down and articulated okay, if we're going to join forces, let's make one sound system, one sound, one noise, one band, one, get
an hour, I get an hour.
One band, one sound.
And my man just, he just wanted to play the music he wanted to play that way. And it just sounded weird. And I'm like, sometimes that happens. Yeah. I've been in places where I've gone across and the Geico trailer will be set up across, and they got a sound system, and I'll let them know, we got a DJ. We're probably going to cross over and play some of the same music. Instead of us competing, maybe you guys, since it's just a track in somebody's playlist, you guys defer to us. And then when we don't have a DJ for whatever reason, you guys, and we talk about that in advance, and usually it works out. But then there's some folks that are just like, nah, I'm fine playing music right at your booth while you're playing music directly at my booth. I've been across from I've been directly across the aisle for people playing music pointed directly at us and vice versa. And I'm just like, you realize that this is not working for either one of us. It's not
My
drawing
brain
anyone
was so scrambled. Like we were like,
Yeah.
wait, what are we dancing to? Ooh. It was like the remix we didn't want.
I don't tell anybody else how to run their booth or how to run their setup. I have learned that is not the way to go.
Yeah.
So I lay out the offer once.
And you got to walk away.
And if it don't work for you.
And I recognize not being, even though I don't own a show or run one, I mean, of course, Karen,
you've done these things.
I've got experience in the game, to a certain level. And so it's like, I look at that and I just say, wow, I mean, for you two to have not just the IQ, but the EQ, the emotional quotient, to be able to understand, like you just mentioned, taking care of the artist, making sure they don't get lost in the wash, because it is a lot. It can be overwhelming. I mean, again, especially if you're on these larger scales of, Fan Expo or whatever. I mean, because it's massive. And this is the other thing I was going to say is that they are so massive. And we did do a little rearranging even here in Dallas, just a little bit, not much.
Yeah.
But right across from us, first of all, it can be so crazy to fully understand how big these spaces are. I mean, here in Dallas at the convention center, it's a massive, you've got 7
it's like a whole block.
Right. And that Occupy Fan Expo, I believe, took up all the exhibit hall. Well, the majority
took up like most of it. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, even breaking it down to use maybe 2 or 3 exhibit halls, that place was crazy. When I went into this is the other thing, when I went into go see the speaker, when Elijah Wood, who I've just, we are Lord of the Rings people in this house. And
she lost her shit. I was like, just go see him.
I know I'm
like, go.
I just need to go get some film. And I went in and it is this massive corner. I'm thinking, well, it can't be that big.
Oh no.
Elijah
Wood needs 1,000-seater. Like 1,000 people are going to sit there and listen to him.
There with a whole sound booth in the center, just like if you're at a concert.
It's like, and they have like the screens because you can't see him from way back. So if you don't get a good seat, you can still see him on the screen.
Well, and me and my VIP behavior. I was like, I'm gonna go sit in the center aisle on the floor, staring directly at because then it wasn't just him, but of course.
All the hobbits
at Fan Expo. I was only 2 people I needed.
Oh yeah.
It was just 2. So Elijah Wood was one, and Lord have mercy. Oh my God, his name just escaped. Say it for me and announce him.
Who are you talking about?
I was going crazy over. Oh my God, Julian from School Days. Oh my God!
Wait.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes. I was like, she's gonna be suggesting him for your show.
I know, and you know why I couldn't get that out, because I kept calling him Big Brother Almighty. That's all I kept saying all weekend long, and I got too shy to shout that out when he was signed in his special area. They kept saying, my son was there. He's like, say something. I was like, no, these people paid. I'm not paying.
Right.
That's the hardest thing about being a con runner is that you are still a fan, but you have to pull that back because most celebrities have 2 boxes.
Yes.
If you come in on some fan stuff, then they're going to deal with you a certain way,
right?
And keep you at a distance and kind of manage the energy and the time and everything. But as a con runner, you have to be able to accept them and talk to them and maybe even tell them stuff they might not be too keen to hear, whatever. So you gotta have to kind of have that professional bearing, which is hard for me sometimes because I am such a fan of a lot of the folks that I'm either booking or have access to as a con runner. And you're just like I went to prime example, Rachel True, right now. Any man over the age of 35 has had a crush on Rachel True, especially if you're Black. I don't want to hear nothing different, gay, straight, whatever. All of them. Everybody had a crush on Rachel True. Everybody, right? And so I was booking her around she had a controversy a few years back where she was not getting booked with her white co-stars for a lot of the shows. And they were billing it as, we got the whole, cast of The Craft coming to XYZ show, and it'd be the 3 white girls and not her. And it was like a thing. And then somebody came to me and they're like, we should book Rachel True. I was like, do you think she'd listen? Do you think she'd be interested? And I'm like, she's wrote a whole think piece on how she's not getting booked. And I'm like, well, let's swoop in. So her manager, wrote me back, and they had a what do you call it? A Monster Mash in New Jersey, which is about 3 hours from me. And he said, come up, meet with her, talk with her and everything. And I'm sitting there like, I'm not going to get within a mile of Rachel. I'm going to be talking to this guy, but whatever, this is what you do. Right. So I drove up and, she had some line of people, whatever. I come around, the guy meets me, Rachel's working, and I'm like, okay, she's already working. She's not really talking to me. So let me just go out back here and talk to this guy. Like I knew I was gonna.
And he's like, no, you need to talk to her.
Right. As soon as she got done with her group of folks that were at her table, she came out because the door was right beside the end of her table. And she came out and we were out there for like an hour just shooting the shit and talking. And I'm kind of like, okay, hold it together, talk normal, keep your eyes in your head.
Get it together, Hilton.
Breathe. Everything is now a deliberate act, like balance. You're leaning. Don't lean. Wait. Stop talking. You made your point. Like
my hands.
Right.
What do I do with my hands?
I've got one hand that's where do I do with this hand? And and I'm trying to be cool and chill and everything, but like my teenage me is jumping up and down inside my skull trying to, and I'm taking all kind of pictures and stuff, trying not to fanboy. And so I made it through that. She was amazing. She's super cool, super chill. And she's agreed to do the show. And she came in 2019 for our BLERD Magic theme, which was perfect for her. And the avalanche of people in my inbox who just saw the posts of the pictures of me with her, doing the stuff. And they were just, oh my God, what you do? How did you do? It is like, oh, guys, relax, calm down, please. Compose yourselves.
We go way back.
Like come on, guys. I'm trying to do business here, and you're messing
business.
You guys are, Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like
you're like sweating inside.
Now, I get this with her too, right?
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, no, because my first real interactions with you were personal. I was not someone who had access to your show growing up, so I wasn't like one of the original people who had the formative experience, which kind of kept me from being one of those folks with you.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, every time somebody sees we going to get barbecue together, or you were in a car with Karan Ashley, oh my God, and just the people, the brothers lose all they smooth. No game, no just I'm just like y'all.
Aisha did it for him. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the hard part.
It was the Daisy Dukes I wore in the movie. That's it. I mean, it just after that, it was burned in their brain. No, just joking.
Everybody want to boogie with the band.
You know what I'm saying? No, that's hilarious. That's actually really, really funny. Oh my gosh!
I thought it was hysterical because I like being the one to say, "Oh, I knew you when you were so and so," and so with the whole Giancarlo Esposito thing, I was like saying, "Dean, Big Brother Almighty," and nobody in line to see him had.
They don't know that.
So I just felt like I would have stood out. Like, I'm sure he would have responded to that.
He probably would have really liked you and been like, "Oh my gosh, thank you!"
Like,
he's bugging out to me. See, bugging out is where I really got. That's the dude I know. And I'll be yelling out some stuff. Yeah, I'll be yelling out some lines from School Days. Right? I can do School Days and do the right thing.
Yeah.
He was at AwesomeCon, and there was this cosplayer.
He was there when I was there. Yeah.
Amazing cosplayer who did the amazing Mookie. He had the shirt, the skinny legs. He had done the haircut, glasses, everything, and he had the pizza. Like, it was legit Mookie. Out. Now he was like 7 feet tall, so he wasn't.
That's pretty funny.
But right.
Hilarious.
And then the next day he did Bugging Out. And he was dead on with that too. And each time he would go and pay to get a picture with Giancarlo, and everybody was like, Giancarlo took a picture with his own camera with that one. Like, because everyone else is thinking of him as Gus, and they're thinking of him as Darth Midian.
Yes.
And nobody remembers his previous work.
Those OG iconic characters that he created. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's my childhood there. I mean, school day.
But see, that's the joy. That's the joy of the environment that we have chosen to work in. We love being a part of that magic. Yeah. And how do you roll that out? And how do you introduce the next generation? A mom coming in with kids who maybe don't know their relationship with this character, and they've got their own relationship with the actor. And you're seeing the families coming together around their experience with the celebrity, and the celebrity, especially if they're super gracious, they'll kind of have the back and forth, and those are the takeaways, those are the memories, those are the things that people talk about when they go and say, hey, how was Fan Expo, or how was RangerStop, or how was BlerDCon? It's the memories that they create in the space that you allow those things to happen. And it's very rarely something that you overproduce. Like I do comedy show, cosplay contest, 2 concerts, nobody walks away talking about anything that I actually wrote out. Like, man, that transition in the lineup on the, the second act on the concert, man, that was amazing. I wonder who did that. Amazing. Like, nobody gives a damn about any of that. They'll talk about like, oh, I was walking through the lobby and I saw this cosplayer who is doing this character that only I knew from the manga, and it was amazing and I'll never forget it. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
But Hilton, I'll tell you this: somebody notices, and it matters. So keep doing what you both do. I think that is phenomenal. Karen, you gotta. I'm gonna put it in another industry. I just want to break in, and nobody's doing it. I guess, and I love it. And I also will say this for people, and Hilton, you just kind of touched on this, but for people who think that there's not something for them at a convention, comic or not, like there's something for you there, because like I said, I'm not there to see Giancarlo just because, which I was working, so it's very different. I had to be there. However, it's not what everybody else may know. I mean, this is before, didn't nobody know that? Like I said, there's something for everybody there.
Absolutely.
And even from all of the artwork, there's something. I'm telling you, the fact that I had to get this little candy tin because I love Michael Myers. Like, I am so stupid, but you're gonna get your stuff. There's something. Everybody loves something, grew up loving something, or still is a fan of something. You're gonna find it at a Comic-Con. I'm telling you, you're gonna find it.
That's the beautiful part. Like, if you go to the shows that are really like good, they have set it up to where I always think of it this way: if someone's giving me their weekend, then it's our job to entertain them. It's our job to give them things to do. It's our job to just let them be themselves, let them be free, let them have fun, give them the space to, meet. And if nothing else, I mean, you could go there and people watch for hours and see things, and just like, it's just an adventure. And I love that 99.9% of the shows are family friendly. So it doesn't matter if you're young or if you're grandma, everybody can come, and everybody in between is going to have a good time and have fun. And, you can buy some cool things, or you can just come and just, meet new people, and I love seeing that people who, like there's some cons that I go to, and they'll have people hold up a sign and say what they do in real life. And you'll see the craziest cosplayer, and it's like neurosurgeon. You're like, what the heck? Or they'll be like, I'm a astrophysicist, and you're like, and you're dressed like King Kong. Like, what is happening? Like,
the most unsuspecting people are into nerd stuff and pop culture, and it's not something that we often have a chance to talk about across the dinner table. But when we're in that environment, it's just like Christi said, the environment has its own energy, and in its best form, it has its own life. And you almost forget the whole transactional side of it because you're so swept up in the series of moments that are happening as you're moving through physically and schedule wise through a lot of these conventions. And that magic of, like, a lot of folks will say, oh, I don't sweat any actors, or I don't care about celebrities. Well, I was sitting 3 rows back at the Civil War panel at a Wizard World in Philly, and I was fanboying. I'm like, Chris Evans is right there, Anthony Mackie is right here, and Sebastian Stan, and I'm just like, you're doing that meme where the guy's like doing this, like, that's me.
Oh,
that's my fandom, like come to life. You know,
I can't even find it. It's somewhere else. But like I did Salt Lake Comic-Con years ago, and they announced that the cast of Captain America was going to be in the house. I will not lie when I tell you that when we were all in the green room and they would come in, every celebrity was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" Like we were all like, and
forgot who you were.
We didn't even care. Yeah, no, I talked to everybody, and I was like, "I love you. You're great. I love you." You know, and the cool thing was
Give me some spoilers.
Yeah, no, well, you know, the spoiler was the cool thing is they were all so nice, like so nice, like. I remember we wanted to do a photo shoot or photo op with them, and it was like, I mean, it was guys. These guys took pictures for freaking hours. Like it was like when they would come into the room, the crowd would just start screaming. It was like the Beatles had arrived. Like, it was some crazy shit that I've never seen at cons. At one point, my agent comes up and it's like me and my friend Austin. And he's like, "Guys, we got to do it now. Now is the time. We got to do it now." And so we're like, okay. Like, we're like, whatever we were signing, we were like, we'll be right back. And so we had to like leave our lines and go. Well, they were like, "This is the one and only chance they can sneak, you know, we're going to get you in to do your photo op and whatever." And we're willing to pay for them. Like, we were like, "We'll pay for the photo op. We just want to be able to get in." And they were like, "No, we'll get you in, whatever." And it was Anthony Mack. No, it wasn't Anthony. That was the one. Anthony Mackie wasn't in this photo op, but it was, you know, Chris Evans and it was Sebastian. And they were so nice. So we get in there and so they're like, "Okay, go. Okay, go. Okay, go." And so you just run in. And so I ran in and was like, and they were like, they stood there and they were like, "Come here." And they like hugged me and I was like, "Oh my God."
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, totally pre-COVID. But that was the thing. Like, I just thought we had to like get in, take the picture quick. And they were like, no, let's hug. Let's, you know, and let's make your picture perfect. And I was like, "Oh my God, I love you."
Doing exactly what you do with other people.
Right.
You are accustomed to doing.
They're stroking your head to keep your blood pressure down. There, breathe. You're okay.
And then
we're all here.
Right. And then when we were walking out there, go, "Do you know who that was?" And they were like, she's from Power Rangers. Like, what? And I was like, the fact that they even knew about Power Rangers. Like, I was like, there's no way. There's no way, you know, but they were super cool. I saw them later and they were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." And I watched you. And I was like, "I love you."
Chris, this is so funny because I have had this exact conversation with people that have hung with me when I was hanging around her at cons. So the guy who was hanging with us the first time we went and got barbecue, the guy with the dreads, DJ Taylor Senpai. Just the biggest fan of yours, and
he was so quiet too. He was
because he froze up. He was having a seizure. Having a stroke. Did you not see Robert De Niro in Awakenings? It was just like he just froze. He just couldn't move. And then it was like hours after the fact that he just started freaking out. And he's like, "Oh my God, I just had ribs with Karan Ashley. I can't believe this," and and all this stuff. And you were just like so funny, and you and your husband were like just so chill. And we were like, "Oh my gosh." And I was like, No, she's cool, man. It's like, you know, we just had a great time. And it's like, "Oh, I can't believe that we just relax." She wanted to eat. And she didn't want to eat a $7 hot dog from the convention center. So
we try to avoid that.
We built the synergy around the barbecue, and that I think might have been the crystallization of our friendship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and that was like the one time we were away from a con. Yes. Ooh, sorry. I'm like getting too excited. We were away from a con and we're able to like just have a conversation and like, you know, everybody was just chilling. Everybody was doing their thing. So yeah, it was very, very cool. But yeah, that was kind of like our friendship kicked off, you know, like really kicked off. You know, we obviously were
barbecue. That's what it's there for.
Barbecue brings people together.
We should take it to the Middle East. You know, we take it to all Ukraine. We can solve problems. People,
we can solve with food. Food is the key. Yeah. Oh, guys, but we're at our limit. The show, we've done it all and we've talked about it all. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. It's really fun. Yeah, it's really fun for us to talk about our babies, our shows, and just the craziness that goes into it and just the fun. I mean, I think both of us, all of us are on the same page. Is when you go to a Comic-Con, that's the one place that you can be yourself with no judgment. And hopefully we're creating that space for all the people who attend our shows. But thank you for watching the BOP, the BLERD official podcast. We are going to be back next week. So always tune in on Tuesday because we've got some fun stuff we're going to be talking about. And we love you guys. Bye.
Tune in every Tuesday for a new episode of the BOP, the BLERD official podcast. Are you ready for RangerStop and Pop 2023? This is the show where we mix Power Rangers, anime, and pop culture. 2023 is going to be bigger and better. Ready, set, go! Join us in Atlanta, Georgia for a family fun weekend adventure. We're bringing the biggest celebrity names. We have the best vendors. We're planning the best parties. So start planning the best summer ever. RangerStop and Pop June 16th through the 18th, 2023. The Sheraton Atlanta Hotel.
What you gonna do when the rain is coming down? Nothing more to do when there's no one else around. Bring it back to the middle, push, take it back to the rhythm. Keep it up for good when the sky's falling down. All you gotta do is to bring it to the ground. Hit it up to your inner move, stop, start, down. Nobody can get what you're going through. Nobody can get what you've done. Nobody can get what you're going through. Nobody can get what you've done.